a cash deal for me, and a great thing to do in your IRA. It's a wonderful thing to do in your IRA. You've got the cash. And I could probably put a note against it if I wanted to, but I just wanted the cash.
How much can we put in our IRA? Is there a limit?
To what?
How much money can we put in the IRA? Is there a limit?
Well, I was talking about, yeah, there's definitely limitations to what you can put in your IRA, but if you already have money in your IRA, you can self-direct it and buy real estate.
Oh, really?
Yes.
A lot of people still don't know that. It's
Yeah.
thank you for being here. This is why these groups are so important. It is totally legal to do that, and you just need a custodian to help you self-direct. I'm sure anyone here can give you referrals. We have a whole list, and I'm sure how many people have done it here. So, yeah. So,
Somebody?
you know, feel free to talk to us, and it's very easy. It took me if you go to your financial planner, there's a very possible chance that they will tell you you can't do it because they don't want you to do it. Right. and I literally, one of our employees said, "You're kidding," and she went and talked to her financial planner. He goes, "Oh yeah, we can self-direct it. You can choose which stock you want to be in." So that would be likely what they tell you.
Yeah,
But because you're pulling the money out and they don't get to make their fee.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, but you don't pull it out. So you go to the custodian, they do it, and you don't touch it. And it can't be anything that you physically live in or vacation in or fix yourself. It has to be a pure investment. You can't do the rehab yourself.
Yeah, if you make a profit on it, it's tax-free for life.
It has to go back to the
It
IRA.
has to go back to the
Right?
IRA.
Yeah, you can't.
Let's go back to who?
The IRA. It has to go back to
IRA
the
account.
account.
The IRA?
Yeah, you don't get the profit.
Can't touch it.
Until you're at a certain age.
Right.
Right.
How old is that?
None of us are that old.
70
No.
Uh, 59 and a half,
Is
you
when you
can
have
start
to start
taking
taking
it.
70.
What's the IRA?
Well, 59 and a half is when you can start.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got a traditional and a self-directed Roth, and they are different.
Mhm.
Before tax, after tax.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to talk to your advisors, but this is a very common thing, and it's not known because it doesn't benefit the financial planners who don't sell real estate. Apologies to any financial planners here. Okay, so going back again, that's one way to be in the real estate game without being a landlord. Another is to be the hard money lender. Like I said, my friend, I'm sure there's people in the room who are experienced investors who would love to invest your money. Be careful. Be careful, but if you can go in at 50, 60% of value, and that person's willing to pay you higher rates, then you can make a nice return. I went to my mom and said, it's always uncomfortable with family, but she had her money in bonds. And I'm like, oh! So, and my brother-in-law is a financial planner managing her account, so I said, can you please just let her be a little bit in real estate? And she really wants to be. Again, here she is, now she's got her son-in-law managing and she still can't do real estate. She's like 80 and still wants to do it, and these men keep stopping her. Anyway, so I went to my brother-in-law and said, can you just lend against my Cleveland property, which again, the one I paid $60 for, I'm paying $1,100. So can you just put, $40,000 against it? There's lots of equity. I'll guarantee the money, and I'll pay her 8%. This is just I'm just trying to help her. But there's people who, would be happy at 6%. I'm on CNBC and business, Fox Business News a lot, and it's so funny because they'll ask me, I'll say something like, well, gosh, it's just so easy to get a 6% return, and they just go, it's silent. Next time you're on the show, you show us how. And offline, they'll ask because they don't even know that that's possible. And so you can just borrow people's money in their IRA at 6%, and they're happy and you're happy. So that's another way to do it if you don't want to own property. One of the things we're doing at Real Wealth Network for people who don't want to be landlords but want to be in the real estate game and want to make really high returns is we are now partnering with these builders, because builders got hit hard. And you know what? They're back in business, but they can't get money. But their resources are needed. So I partnered with our Real Wealth Network group. We raised $3 million each. 60 investors put in $50,000, and we bought this building that went to the FDIC. It was a $12 million note that we were able to take over for $3 million, which is, we raised the 3 million. It was 70% complete. All we had to do was finish it off. I don't know how to do that, but the builder we partnered with did. And we sold everything off, and people made over 20% IRR on that. So partnering with builders is a fantastic thing. Land banking, we're doing that now where we're, still able to buy land in a path of growth, and that's a great way to kind of not, you're not getting income, this is the bad side of it, but it's in demand. Yes?
And consider being a capital partner to another investor.
To another investor.
As a partner.
Sure.
That's pretty much what I do with.
Absolutely. As long as that investor really knows what they're doing and has the track record and experience, absolutely. If you're doing your first deal ever, it's always important to have a mentor there that's done it, what you're trying to do. It's going to save you a lot of time. This is one that we're doing now. It's really kind of fun and different, but it's a builder that couldn't get the financing. It's a Shasta Wine Village up by Reading, 17 tasting rooms off for wineries that are too hard to get to and they can't market, they're having a hard time marketing. So we got this land right off of Highway 5, and the tenant is going to be these wineries. There's going to have 17 tasting rooms and 3 restaurants, gift shops. So it's a really exciting commercial project that we're doing. So there's just all kinds of exciting things out there. I know, it's so fun. This is the only pitch I'm going to do, and this is our Real Wealth Investor Academy. That is our online programs where we teach all of this stuff so that you are an expert. You'll know how to self-direct your IRA. You will know the ins and outs of 1031 exchange. We bring in experts to teach that in little 20-minute online modules, little videos, so it's taking a big concept and making it simple. Vendor financing, tips on financing, how to perform due diligence, how to buy apartments there. It's just really real world. Nobody's selling anything. It's like my radio show where I take real people and have them teach what they're doing. And that's $97 a month. And that also allows you to come, you and a spouse, to any of our events and tours to any of the different areas that we go to. All right, so that's it. realwealthnetwork.com/free, and membership is free to get on our newsletters and blogs and radio shows and everything. So feel free to sign up there, and that's it.
Could you talk a little bit about the tours that you're doing?
Sure. Yeah. So again, so much of this happens in Northern California. I'm trying to get it down here, but just busy. But we've got people from all over the world that work with Real Wealth Network and online. So the tours, yeah, bless you. For example, we just had the Houston guy out and our San Antonio person who does the vendor financing that I was talking about. We just had them at our Northern California meeting. And then in 3 or 4 weeks, we just take a group out and go and check it out. And we'll drive through the neighborhoods, we'll drive and meet the property managers. We look at properties that are for sale, we meet the renovation teams and see the quality of the renovations. We just help Californians see that there's a world outside of California. And it's a really exciting one with lots of cash flow. And then, those tours are free when you are an Academy member, otherwise they're still not free.
So these people fly out to these different
We
areas.
all fly out together, yeah. Or you can certainly go on your own, but it's fun to go as a group because you learn from each other. Yeah, and then like a Shasta tour, we have that this coming weekend where we'll get a bus and go up and look at that property. We've got a big apartment coming in next month in Indianapolis, and that's a really cool strategy where we go in and buy it together and then improve it and then refinance. Everybody gets their capital back, but you still have your ownership. Yeah. So there it is. And to demystify what I do and how I make money, I'm a real estate broker. My husband's a broker, I'm a real estate agent. So if I do refer you to a real estate agent out of state, that agent pays me out of their referral, out of their fee. So you don't pay for our services, the broker does. That's how we're on the other end. Okay, good. Any questions about areas or what you're buying? Are we out of time? We're at 5 minutes. Questions about areas you like to invest in? Yeah.
What are some of the risks of hard money, hard money?
Oh, such a good question. Oh, boy. The biggest risk is you take the home if they default. It can be depending on the home. So I have a guy who paid, he did a hard money loan for $40,000 on a house he thought was worth 60. When that person defaulted, went in default, he took the property over, it had a ton of liens and judgments on it. It was in the ghetto. It was worth about 20 grand, and it was destroyed. So he lost it all. He's just trying to get rid of it for like 5 grand. So there's huge risk to being a hard money lender. You still have to do the same due diligence you do if you're buying a house, because you end up with the house. The other thing is, if you lend money to someone and they do the rehab on the house, but they do a poor job, then you could get stuck. Hard money lenders were hit so hard because they lent money to contractors who then, the market turned and all of a sudden the house wasn't worth anything and they walked and the lender had to take over a half-done house. So there's risks, but at the same time, if you come in with a low enough equity and you're working with a really good team and you've done your due diligence and you know the neighborhoods and all that, it's the same amount of work. It should be, yeah, you know. But other than that, you know, you can make great money. All right, yes.
You have lists of good properties to do hard money on? I mean, you talk about the bad properties, but I'm talking about.
Yeah, we don't have
Deals.
lists, but we do have teams of people we trust. So just like you, I'm not gonna say this is a great property, but I will say this is a great team. You still need to do your due diligence on that property. And again, we can, you know, you can get a due diligence list, probably get here.
Safe investments and.
You still need to know the neighborhood you're in, the person you're working from, the rehabber, the quality of their work, you know, the schools nearby, the crime rates.
What about the percentage rate of what hard money, what is the person normally getting, how often do you get?
Well, hard money, it can be, you know, it can be anything, I don't know, 12%,
Is that monthly, or is that when the property is rehabbed and sold?
12% annualized, so some will pay you 1% per month. Some will pay the points up front. They'll pay maybe 4% up front and the 1% every month. Some will, you know, want less, maybe 8%. It just depends. Some people, like in the case of my mom, that's not hard money. It's kind of more soft money and it's long term. But it's still a lot. I don't need to pay her 8%. I'm just doing it because she's my mom. But that's another way to do it where I'm paying her a little bit more, but she's secured at 50%.
Do you advise hard money if you the deal?
What was that?
Do you advise hard money?
I think being a hard money investor is fantastic. It's just it's like any business, you need to do it well.
You need to know.
Yes, you need to know what you're doing. And so if you choose, if there's one thing I can leave you with, there are so many ways to make money in real estate, and all of them good, but all of them bad if you don't know what you're doing. So pick one and learn it. I see too many people jumping around, and I did it too. I'd go to these seminars, and I'd come home and say, oh, we're going to fix up apartments and rehab them and sell them. And the next week I'd go to another one, we're going to do this and that, and trust liens. And, I mean, what I'm trying to say, tax liens and trust, yeah, all that. And finally, I heard one guy talk about single family homes, and I was like, I can do that. I could do that. That's easy. And that's the thing I learned that we can go at. And now we're doing the apartments and now we're doing the commercial, but I learned the single family first. So pick your thing, learn it well, then move on.
So what do you think is going to be the next disruptive thing in real estate? So like now there's websites, they're all building, you know, mobile apps for you to find your next home, your next apartment. There's real estate crowdfunding starting to ramp up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to be the next disruptive thing in the next 5, 10 years? Whether it be regulation or technology.
That's a good question. Wow, I have concerns, and I don't know that this would affect those who buy now, but I think, you know, our economy is a crazy mess. And given the amount of debt we're in, I believe interest rates will go up quite a lot, and that could be tough on areas where it would affect. Probably the biggest thing to be aware of, I think, is how quickly the world is changing and how quickly businesses come and go. So this is what I tell our Silicon Valley people is, you know, they're buying $1 million investments. And I'm saying, do you really think the Silicon Valley is going to be here forever? It's not. It's leaving. And if you don't pay attention to that and you think everything's going to stay the same, you're going to you're gonna get messed up. Because where's the Silicon Valley moving?
India, China.
It's in, Google just moved to Pittsburgh.
Mexico maybe.
It's Mexico, I mean, Austin, Texas, it's moving. And so to buy $1 million investment property in San Jose, because you think that it's gonna stay that way forever, is not smart. Mainly because it doesn't make sense. Because that $1 million property is maybe bringing in $4,000 in rent. Whereas $1 million worth of real estate elsewhere will bring in $10,000 in rent or more. So that's the key. I mean, probably one of the biggest things, you've got things like 3D printing coming out. Like probably the best thing you can do is read a book called Abundance. And it's talking about the changes coming, and they're massive. And these changes could make it possible for you to have your own power system and your own water thing, and you could live anywhere. And you can print your own goods on a 3D printer. You can print your own shoes and your own clothes and your own stuff on 3D printers. In 5 years, we're not going to be the same world we are today. And so if you don't need a store anymore because you could buy a printer and print your own stuff, what's going to happen to different metro areas? You know, it's all changing, and you just have to be aware of those changes and stay on top of it. That would be my advice. Yes.
Here's your tip of the year. That company right there, the biggest one that's doing the 3-dimensional printing, is outside of Youngstown. They just bought a bunch of property. They're building their factory.
Ohio. Love me my Ohio. You know, Ohio also has water systems. This is key. We're having water issues here. We are a beautiful place to live, but not so nice when you're thirsty. And Ohio has this underground water system that is like an endless supply.
Yeah, Montana has restriction right now. The hotels have to stay on a certain,
Where?
Montecito.
Yeah, we're in a drought. We're in the
hotels-
desert.
Yeah.
It's scary. And again, in the book Abundance, it talks about how they could turn ocean water into drinking water. And there's hope. But in the meantime, you know, I look at these little rental homes in little places where these jobs are moving, and I don't worry too much. But to answer your question, there's so many things that could happen. War would be another big one. But you can look at history and say, this country's been through war. This country has been through economic changes, and what has real estate done? And I didn't use the slide, but if you looked at a slide, you would see it did this. It did this all through major recessions and major wars. It just keeps going up. It wouldn't in a normal world, but in a world where the Federal Reserve is allowed, it's a couple of guys who own banks who could print money and deflate our money. And in a world like that where our government wants to create inflation, hard assets go up with it. And it's a historical fact. And so with all the money that's been printed that is unprecedented, most likely those hard assets are gonna go up too.
Along with the rates.
Along with the rates. All right.
Thank
you.
Well, Kathy, thank you very, very much for doing what you're doing. And you are a perfect example of your best investment is you. She's got the education and the training. If you look at her website, you're going to go, oh my God, this is very professional. There's a lot of good stuff there. So,
Thank you. I'm going to give my husband the credit on that one.
okay.
He's our web guy. Yes.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you. I'll let him know. He's check it out in a couple weeks, and
Yeah,
he'll be
I will.
even fancier.
I'm very impressed with what you've got, so we'll be interested to see the change.
Yeah, I hope it's better. All right. Good.
So, yeah, if anybody wants to hang out here later on, do not push us out of the rooms. You've got time to go back and talk with Kathy, Linda, Robbie, and Ken, Keith, and Roberta. So, we're here. You don't have to leave immediately. And we will be back next month, but I'm not quite sure. Let's see. I think that is an evening. No, it's a day. It's going to be 1 to 5. So we're going to do an afternoon next month on Saturday. And we've got Crystal Hahn, who you know very well. Linda knows. So it should be a good Saturday event. So thank you all for showing up.